For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise. And you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is The Scribble. Episode 69, by the way, and so, we've got to talk about, in episode 69, right? We're going to talk sex. But we're also going to talk relationships. We don't want to get filthy and trashy today. We've got an expert, Dr. Karin Anderson, who's a psychologist and a relationship expert and an author, and we're going to talk about relationships and just where things are at, because dating has changed, technology has changed the way we date, technology has changed the way our relationships go. We're going to cover it all. And you can't forget the relationships on reality TV as well, right? That might cloud your view just a little bit if you're on a reality show to find love. It's all coming up in the next 30 minutes. We're at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. Follow along on Twitter at The Scribble Show, or even send an email to live@jbonair.com. The sex and relationship talk starts right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Dr. Karin Anderson joining us on the line. She's, one of my bachelorette buddies from Monday nights, but also a psychologist, relationship expert, and really, aside from perhaps Dr. Ruth, I couldn't think of anyone better to talk sex and relationships with today. And Ruth is a little bit too kinky for my liking, I gotta say. Hi, Karin. Thanks for joining us today.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
We had Dr. Ruth on our radio show a couple of years ago. She was talking about Valentine's Day, and when she said it's not always about the climax, I got chest pain saying, we're going to get canceled. We can't. But
well, and she gets away with it, though, because she's just this, grandmama-looking lady, and yet she's pretty astute, and, like you said, a little bit raunchy at times.
Yeah, I guess as a 20-some-year-old guy at the time, a little bit strange talking to her, so I'm glad that you're on the line with us. So,
yeah, I'm glad to be here, too.
Well, I got to know, then, what is it that people come to you or ask you or complain to you about in relationships? Is it trust, cheating, sex, money? What is it that you hear and see?
Well, it's all of the above, for sure. But I think so often we're just not making good choices with who we decide to be in a relationship with. Like, we're going at a relationship for all the wrong reasons.
The first date, a lot of people jump into the sack. I would say probably not the best idea, but it depends on what you're looking for in the relationship. If you're basing it on the physical, good luck making it a decades-long relationship. What should happen on that first date? Is it dinner? Because we see these bachelor and bachelorette dates where they sit and have dinner and it gets really serious really fast. I think that's the wrong approach. What's your advice?
Oh, I completely agree with you. Yeah, I'm not going to say that anything. I know a girl right now who is getting ready to become engaged to someone that she has sex with the first night, but I would never advise that. That would never be my recommendation, and mostly because of what you're saying is we want to lead with who we are, but we want to lead with what we're hoping to get out of the relationship. So what I mean by that is if you are leading with your sex and your sexuality, then that may be just about all you get out of the relationship. But if you lead with your personality and your values, then you have the opportunity to have something that's going to be lasting.
Now, it seems like we're in a very physical, visual type of world because, we see everybody's got social media. And even people in relationships, I find this interesting. You'll have people who are in relationships are still taking those half-naked selfies. And, you've seen them. I know you have. They're in the mirror. It's the sexy pose. I can guarantee you that it's not for your partner because you could text that, or you could, and they're going to see that when they come home anyway. So we're trying to, I guess, impress people with our physical body and our looks, even if we're in a relationship.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. It's something that has happened, and I think, of course, we have to blame technology because we like to blame technology. But, I mean, because we have the access to taking selfies every 5 seconds and videos every 5 seconds, and then we have the opportunity to display them to however many followers we have, that it seems like there's a bit of a tendency towards exhibitionism, if that's a word, right? I mean, like, it seems like so many people are just very comfortable letting it all hang out, and it's different than I think it used to be.
Why is it that we're doing it then? Are we wanting attention from other people? Or some people might even do it for jealousy, I guess, to show that, hey, you know what, partner?
Attract a type of person who's just interested in what you're showing in that half-naked selfie. But if you're in a relationship, then I really question what's going on. Are your needs not being met? Are you not feeling fulfilled through the sex with your partner, through the affirmation that your partner gives you? That really concerns me. I think it's partly, too, because everyone kind of wants to fancy themselves a star, a celebrity, and now if I can just get a bunch of people to follow me and like my posts, then I can kind of feel like I'm my own little celebrity. And to me, it just seems pretty shallow.
Let's talk about that compatibility in the first place. I touched on it earlier about first dates. To me, a first date and going for dinner is awkward because it ends up being
it can be.
It's like you're interviewing each other, right? It's like,
yes.
And to me, that's just awkward. I would say be more casual when we use the term date is, go for a walk. If you've got pets, go and walk the dog. Something casual where you're in a setting that it's not that you're just staring at each other, because really the whole time it's like you're sizing the person up. Every answer they give, everything they say, you're looking at it and going, could I be with that? Oh, you know what? I hated that answer. Yeah, no, you're done. And it's like a People's Choice Awards now.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you. I always advise an activity like you're saying. It's funny because when I was in private practice and working with kids, I would oftentimes do an activity with kids because kids aren't so open to talking about their feelings and their emotional issues. But if you're playing a game, or like you said, taking a walk, that side by side is a little bit less threatening. And I think the same really translates to a dating situation, because if you're walking side by side, or you've got the dogs, or you're at even like a market in some sort of farmer's market or a flea market or whatever, you're interacting with the fruits and vegetables, you're interacting with the art that you're looking at, maybe if it's an art fair, and then you have something to talk about rather than, like you say, feeling like you're in an interview where you're just making an assessment regarding every single answer that the person's giving you, which really isn't fair to them. And I've been on so many dates where it felt like that, where I thought, gosh, you're grilling me. That's not any fun.
On the subject of first dates, I was told a story by somebody who, I guess the person that they were getting together with sort of looked at it as we're saying, an interview. And, it's one thing to go for a job interview and research the company that you're, right? Because they always say, what do you know about company ABC? And then you've got to rattle it off like you've done your research. Apparently, this guy had Googled or looked up and said, oh, I saw you at such and such event, or I guess, scoped out your Facebook page or whatever it is, and brought up stuff like that in conversation, like things that were done in personal life. And that seemed a little bit awkward, because I guess you're off to a really bad footing there, because it's kind of a creeper sort of move, I think. But it depends. We also see a lot of people are meeting on Facebook these days, too. So
if you meet on Facebook, that's one thing, but I would feel very freaked out if someone had done like this, like thorough search to find out who I am and what I'm about. That would have just felt so, creepy. I don't know how else to put it. And the thing that I don't like also about the first date, like you're saying, like sitting across from each other and just like firing questions at one another, is that frankly, people are going to say what they hope I want to hear, right? I mean, if they like me enough, then they're going to keep saying things like, well, I mean, to answer a question, they're going to say something that, well, this sounds like the right answer. And I'm not even saying that they're going to even lie necessarily. In some cases, they will. They'll just try to give you the answer they think you want to hear. In some cases, if I ask them a question, how well do we really know ourselves? Someone might be like, oh, yeah, I'm really mild and even keel. And then you see them in a situation, you go, well, no, not so much. They're a bit of a hothead. And so, again, even when we try to be honest, it's just better to gather information, like I said, over time, and in different experiences and in different environments, and just kind of watch who this person is. The actions speak louder than words.
We're going to talk more about first dates, relationships, sex, breakups, apps, Bachelor. We've got more with Dr. Karin Anderson right after this.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
She is the much younger and much more attractive Dr. Ruth. Dr. Karin, is that an insult? Should I say Dr. Karin Anderson? Is that okay to say or no?
Well, on my end, I'm okay with you saying it. I don't know how Dr. Ruth would feel about it.
All right, I just got to make that clear. Because everybody, it seems like society, overly sensitive these days. Everything is offensive to everybody, as we know. So I just want to make that distinction. So,
people are pretty touchy, you're right.
But not in relationships. It seems like, people are willing to take it all off or put it all in on the first date. So let's go back to the first date thing, because we were talking about things that people shouldn't do, or what we would recommend. I don't like using the word should, because that's now me telling you what to do. But when we talk, doing that interview thing back and forth, people are quizzing each other, grilling each other, and you say that, we're not always that honest then. We saw that on The Bachelorette a couple weeks ago, where JoJo, and I hate a woman called JoJo, but she's asking about... have you cheated? So would you give a person, and I don't want to say guy, I want to say person, because women cheat too, would you give a person brownie points for saying, yes, I've cheated, and being honest about it, or is a cheater, and you know what, there's no excuse for that?
Yeah, that's such a tough one, because you can really split it both ways. You could say, good for him for being honest and admitting it, and then also you can understand that someone would say, hey, this person has that cheating quality, and like you said, cheater, once a cheater, always a cheater. I mean, I just wouldn't ask that question that early, because like I said a little bit earlier, I don't know that we can get those kinds of answers from people. I don't think that they can be honest, and also, I just feel like I need to watch someone and see what their behavior is like. And the cheating thing, I think there are situations where people who are not typically a cheater could stray, because maybe the relationship was so abysmal and it was just tanky. And so I wouldn't want to I wouldn't even want to ask that question, because I wouldn't want to make that judgment early on, like on the first or second or third date. I just wouldn't.
So then the subject of cheating, is it something that it should ever be asked and ever be brought up, or should you just wait till it eats up the person inside and then they just spill their guts? Come on.
Yes, that's exactly what you should do. I think there's a place for it. It's just so funny, because I'm trying to think I don't think my husband and I ever asked that question. And my husband was in a marriage, obviously before me, before we met, but that was not working for a while. And it's funny, because I think maybe eventually I asked, did you cheat? Because when it sounded like it was going, what he had communicated to me about his first marriage was that it had gotten so bad that, there was not so much sex happening, and there was not so much emotional connection. Nothing was really happening. And so, in a way, when he said he hadn't cheated, I was like, wow, kind of surprised. Because, that would be one of those examples where, again, you could understand that someone who's not a cheater by nature could have a point where it's just like, forget this. I got some needs here.
We've got him on the line. Let's ask him. No, I'm kidding. We've heard sometimes where people will defend themselves and say, it was only one time, it was a mistake, it was an accident. I'm sorry, sticking it in somebody is not an accident.
Yeah, it's not an accident. Let's not play that card. If you're gonna talk about cheating and you're gonna own it, then just own the entire experience and what happened, and own your part. And your part, was pretty profound. If you got to that point, yeah.
Not only am I blushing, I just got a thumbs up for saying sticking it in, because, there's things we can't say on the radio, but it's fair game on a podcast, I gotta say. Are we commitment phobic as a society? And here's why I say that, is when I look at my parents, married 40 years, been at their jobs, I'd say at least 25, if not 30 years, both of them. That's what you did back in the day. You stayed at that job, you were loyal to it, you didn't really look around all that seriously. Same thing in relationships nowadays, is that the youngsters will get a job at a place, 2-3 years, move to another company, might still be in the same industry, but they just don't stay at the same company for long, or it's rare that they would anyway. Are those two things related, would you think?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question. Now, when it comes to relationships, what I'm seeing compared to our parents and our grandparents is that we're really expecting more from our partner. So in the early part of the 20th century, in the middle part of the 20th century, I think people were like, hey, if I meet someone who's going to be a good parent with me and a good provider and loyal and faithful, that'll be enough. But what we're doing now is we want the total package. So I want my best friend, I want hot sex, and I want commitment. And this is actually, there's a researcher by the name of Dr. Robert Sternberg who talks about this. He calls it consummate love. Like we can have, many of us are looking for the total package with those three qualities, the friendship, the sex, the hot passion, and the commitment. And so when we want something more and we expect something more out of our relationships and our marriages, then we're prone to wait, which I think is actually a good thing, and the statistics show that the longer that we stay single, and actually the later that we marry, the less likely we are to divorce. But also, we're less likely to stay in something. And so it may look like we're commitment phobic, but I would look at it from another angle and say, hey, we're just not willing to settle for something that's not really extraordinary. And I don't think people should, because when people settle, they tend to decide that it's not worth it, and then you jump out after there's a marriage that happened and there's some kids in tow, and now that's a little bit more fallout from that breakup.
Now that swings us back to the whole temptation thing with social media. How do we know if we are ever completely happy then? Because as, we might be just browsing profiles on Facebook and see, whoa, hot person, same interest as me, all that kind of stuff. Well, really, people have the wandering eye with jobs, same thing with social media. So how would we even know if we are 100% this is my relationship for the rest of my life? Is there a telltale sign? How do we know?
Well, again, like I said earlier, I think what the statistics support this, that the more that we know ourselves, and it sounds so cliche and corny, I know, but like the more that I understand who I am and what works for me when I'm in a relationship, the stronger it's going to be. And to the point that we talked about a little bit earlier too, if I'm looking for someone to make me happy, that's a recipe for disaster. But if I'm saying, hey, I'm single, and I'm going to make myself happy every day because it's my job anyway, and no one can make you happy. That's just a fallacy, but sometimes people buy into that. But as long as I'm knowing it's my job to make me happy, then I'm in a position of strength because I'm ready to meet someone just to walk hand in hand through life, but I'm not expecting them like, hey, now you've got to make me happy every day. And I think that's a position of power in terms of the relationship can be stronger, and you're less likely to stray because it's not, I know that I'm happy in and of myself, and then my husband is just icing on the cake. But if I'm not happy in and of myself, and I'm thinking my husband's going to make me happy, and then one day he doesn't make me happy, then I might be on Facebook and I go, whew, hot guy. And now I'm in the face of temptation.
We've got about a minute until we've got to go to a break. Trust, obviously, is not something we can talk about and sum up in 1 minute. But I have to know your thoughts. Snooping through your partner's cell phone. Go ahead.
No, that's not trust. Unless there's been a reason, unless there's been something fishy that's happened, or that has been, he's admitted that I got drunk and I made out. Nothing else happened, which, by the way, whenever they say only this much happened, you can be sure that a lot more actually happened in the physical realm. But I think when you're in a strong relationship, like my husband and I, we have each other's passcodes, and that's, to me, what's the point? I mean, I didn't get married to be having a single life. I got married to have a partner, but I didn't get married till 42, so I waited for something that I knew I could trust him, and likewise.
That goes back to communication. If you have that open communication, then what about, so when you say, that's all that happened, nothing ever happened, so if somebody says, here, take my phone, look through it, do you think that they do have something to hide, or are they willing and open and honest?
Are you saying, like, if I would approach my partner and say, I want to see, so I'm demanding to see his phone.
Yeah, well, or if he just even comes up and says, here, you're not going to find anything. To me, just that cocky attitude makes it seem like there's something hidden on your phone and I should find it. No?
I know, I agree with you. That's why I'm like, then I'm guessing he has another cell phone that you don't know anything about. That's my concern.
Okay, we're going to talk more technology, apps, cheating websites, and of course, Bachelor, Bachelorette. More with Dr. Karin Anderson right after this.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. Speak Free with JB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
Dr. Karin Anderson joining us here on the podcast. Thanks to technology, you can download this, take it wherever you want, but technology also has a place in relationships. We were mentioning social media earlier, and then there's all these hookup apps, and we used to call them dating websites, dating apps, but are they kind of turning into hookup apps now?
I do hear from the singles that I talk to that there's a bit of that. But then I have to say, I know, a lot of people who have met and are dating people like 2-3 years, and they met on Tinder and these apps that some people are frustrated with because they do feel like it's just for the one-night stand. But so I think it's both and. I mean, there's people out there, but there's been people out there since the dawn of time that just want to, hit it and quit it. And then there's people who are really sincerely using technology as another opportunity and another venue to meet the one.
Hit it and quit it. I'm writing that one down for next time. So, you said about dating 2-3 years. Now, I got to ask, it seems, I'm not going to make a generalization here, but it seems like it would be females that would be saying, put a ring on it at that point. Is there an ideal time frame from the beginning of your relationship until an engagement? I mean, it's hard to put a time frame on that because every relationship is different and, it's a comfort thing and when you're ready. Again, how do you know if you're ready, aside from the guy proposing?
Yeah, well, it's funny you say that because so I've talked to and interviewed so many people for my book and for the writing that I do, and sometimes you see people, for example, I know a guy who was dating a woman for, I think in their 20s, and, they dated like 4 years or so, and it was that kind of thing where he was feeling like, well, I guess it's time, better propose, she's earned it. It wasn't, so clearly, I had the opportunity to meet with him at that time, I would have said to him and suggested that maybe he think about that because he doesn't seem to have the excitement and the enthusiasm. It just seems like, well, this is the next step. And so you can get into that routine where you just take that next step, and it's really not about being thrilled to join your life with this person. So I think it depends on what age you are, first and foremost. If you're older, like in your late 30s, early 40s, in 50s and 60s, of course, I think people are much more, as we talked about earlier, much more sure of who they are and ready to know what makes sense for them with a partner. When you're younger, when you're in your 20s and your early 30s, I would just be careful that you look at the relationship, examine it, and try to be as objective as possible, and also look at yourself in the relationship. I was engaged at 33, I got engaged, and I was supposed to get married at 34, and 2 months before the wedding, I called it off. Because it was kind of that thing. We met at 30, by 33, it's time to get engaged, and it seemed like the next step, and I was tapping my foot to the music, and who doesn't want to buy all the bridal magazines and have fun and pick out my wedding colors and my flowers, and then 2 months before the wedding, I start freaking out and realizing I'm just doing this because it's the next step, and not because I'm really passionate about this guy or passionate about a life with him.
We've got him on the line right now, so we're going to just ask him.
You need to stop.
All right.
He's a great guy, honestly. I mean, I have to tell you, Jeremy, that's the part of that experience that's tough. And actually, this is really useful for people who are listening, is that when you have a really good guy or a really good girl and things are really good, but you know deep down you want something extraordinary. You know, you want fireworks. That's when it's hardest. Because if the guy's a jerk and he's abusive or vice versa, you know you need to get out. But when you've got a really good person and you really can't put a finger on why it's not what you want it to be, and then you put in all these years and you think, gosh, we'll make it work. Those are the folks who then walk down the aisle and then a couple years later go, I keep trying to make this work and it's not working.
If you just tuned in, we're obviously not talking about The Bachelor and Bachelorette with working relationships. So these reality dating shows, maybe the first season or two, people perhaps were on there to find love. Should we feel pain for these people when they're emotionally devastated, or is it all just entertainment and we say, you know what, you're a fool because you went on here for fame? You know the track record of these shows. Most of the guys aren't genuine. What? I know you love The Bachelor and Bachelorette. Go ahead.
I do. I love it. And I mean, everything that you're saying, I feel as well. I mean, like you said, the first couple of years maybe, but now you think, I mean, I'm all looking like right now with all JoJo's dudes, I'm just waiting for these, I think these guys just want to be the next Bachelor. I mean, I think now they're looking for the end game is not, I don't want JoJo, I want to be picked to be the Bachelor. You know, so it's very hard, but at the same time, when they're in that limo and they did not get a rose, you see the tears, and it seems very sincere. So, and what cracks me up is they'll be like 24, and they're like, I will never find love. Why can't love come my way? I'm like, you're a baby, and you're beautiful. Just give it a minute, you know? That's what cracks me up.
What do you drink when you watch The Bachelorette?
Usually Pinot Noir.
Okay, that's, I think, I gotta ask, is that what I'm having here? That's not what, I'm having, Pinot Grigio is what I'm having, thank you. During The Bachelorette, never during this show. In our final remaining moments, tell me about Single is the New Black.
Oh, thanks for asking. Yeah, so, it's basically just, to me, it's the book that I wish had been available when I was single. Because the books that are out there so often are telling single women in particular, because those are usually the customers of the self-help section, but usually telling single women that they're doing something wrong and they should change this or that about themselves, which is just, A, trying to get someone to live an inauthentic life, and B, how long can we sustain this phony charade of who we are? And so my message is, hey, you're fine. You're just stay true to yourself. Keep working, like we talked about earlier. Work on being the best you possible. Work on being as happy as you possibly can by yourself, because like I said, that's your job anyway. And then don't settle, and just keep being happy and hopeful and positive, and the right one's going to come. It's, like I said, it's the book I wish had been available for me. It's like a little shot in the arm when you're feeling low and you've had your 50th bad date, and you can go, I just need a little dose of girl power. And so that's the book.
I think I'm going to be a relationship expert after this. I'm going to give advice.
I think you are. You kind of already are a little bit. You do a lot of your tweets are hilarious and spot on, and a bit snarky at times, but that makes it funny.
You'll probably notice it towards the last, the last hour and a half of the show is when it really ramps up, because that's when the wine is in full gear. So we are, we're in our final remaining moments. I know that you're all over social media. How can people be in touch?
Yeah, thank you. At Dr. Karin Anderson, and Karin is with an I. So at Dr. Karin Anderson is my Twitter username, and I'm drkaren.me. That's my website. And I'm at Dr. Karin Anderson April on my Facebook, and Instagram is Dr. Karin, again with an I. And I started Snapchat, but I gotta ratchet it up with the Snapchat.
I don't have that, but I've heard that that's also kind of a porny kind of thing to send pictures on, from what I understand.
I know, because it's like the image doesn't last that long, so you can be even more cavalier with what you're posting. So, I don't know. It may be off-brand for the Dr. Karen brand.
Oh, it lasts long. Don't worry. People screenshot it and whatever. Yeah, we're not fooling anybody. So, we're out of time. We're going to wrap this up actually with you. So our website, thescribbleshow.com. You can subscribe on iTunes and SoundCloud. We're at The Scribble Show on Twitter. And my Twitter is, oh God, SF Celebwatch is my Twitter. At SF is in Speak Free Celebwatch. Dr. Karin Anderson, thanks so much for joining us on episode 69.
I had so much fun, Jeremy. Thanks for the invitation.
All right, we're going to talk to you same time, same place next week. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a Speak Free media presentation.
If you want some real heat